Hi, I'm Renee Billadou. I'm a Wealth Management Associate here at CT Financial Partners. I assist the advisors with meeting prep, investment management, trading, as well as meeting with clients one-on-one to discuss estate planning documents, as well as life insurance. I'm here to talk about the 4 mistakes that people make when naming beneficiaries. So the first one seems pretty obvious, is that people don't add beneficiaries to their retirement accounts, life insurance, so on and so forth. Or if they do add a beneficiary, they list their estate. Now, a reason why this may be problematic is because if you don't list a beneficiary or you list your estate as your beneficiary, you're essentially having your assets go through what's called probate. So a court would decide where your assets would go upon your death. This isn't necessarily ideal because if you have an idea of where you want your assets to go, it may not align with what the courts decide. So if you also think about probate, it is very timely and also very costly. So just by naming someone as your beneficiary, you're able to avoid a probate process for those accounts. So the second consideration is understanding that your beneficiaries that are listed on accounts actually supersede your will. So if you think about your will is an estate planning document that would designate which assets go to which person at the time of your death. So a lot of people think that they need to update their will first rather than their beneficiaries, but we always suggest that you update your beneficiaries first because that will supersede the will. And then you will then update your will as needed for your designations. The third consideration that people don't necessarily understand when they're filling out their beneficiary paperwork is the per stirpes versus per capita designation. So per capita is the standard designation when you write down your beneficiaries. Example of that would be you have a client who has 2 children and they want to split it 50-50%. Now, if one of those children were to predecease the client, their portion would go to the remaining sibling that's living. Per stirpes, you want to think of it more as a family lineage. So take an example of the same client. They have 2 children. If one of those children were to predecease the account holder, their portion, rather than going to their sibling, would go to their children. So you have a grandparent, their children predeceases them, so their portion would go to their grandchildren. So it's really important to distinguish how you want the flows of your funds to go to your beneficiaries. The last consideration and mistake that you want to avoid is actually not updating your beneficiary designations. So there's a lot of things that happen in our lives. There could be marriage, divorce, birth, death. After these events, you really want to make sure you're reviewing all your beneficiary designations, not just on your 401k, but your brokerage accounts like transfer on death, other IRAs or Roth IRAs, and especially your life insurance policies. So making sure that you review your beneficiary designations probably once a year would ensure that your beneficiaries are up to date and that your assets will go to who you wish upon your passing. So we like to review both estate planning documents and beneficiaries with our clients and making sure that they align. Most of the time, if not all the time, we find that at least 1, if not 2, of those estate planning documents and beneficiaries need to be updated. So it's always a great consideration to review this at least once a year.